On the 1st of September, that's when we finalized our agreement. I told Larry I'd like to do Tuesdays and Fridays. I was trying to negotiate my teaching schedule. Larry emailed me that he would need me more later than earlier. It's supposed to be at the very first rehearsal, giving your cast their harmonies. That's how it's done. All of this stuff, I've got copies of from a book. Just go downtown. There's a book. I just looked in the card catalog. There's a book on how to stage musical theater, and all this stuff is in there. That's how it's always done. Anybody you talk to around here will say, "Yeah, that's what happens." Larry says he'll need me more later. So on the 2nd of September, I emailed Larry. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. I'm trying to not have to say, "This is how it's done." I wonder if it might be a good idea. Maybe I'm being too diplomatic. I wonder if it might be a good idea to have me at 2 or 3 early rehearsals instead of some of the later Mondays or Wednesdays. Going real out of my way here. Do not say, "Look, moron, this is how it's done." Depends on the difficulty of the material. This is before I knew that it was a rock opera with nothing but music all the way through and no non-musical scenes, and demanding music that needs lots of work. And so it depends on the difficulty of the material and the level of skill of the cast. Same with the band. Same with the band. I'm pointing this out on the 2nd of September, the day after we had come to our agreement. And at that point it was Tuesdays and Fridays. And the first rehearsal was on a Friday. The first rehearsal was on a Friday. I should have been giving them their harmonies. Instead, they were just listening through the show, which that can happen too on a first rehearsal, except that he can always do that at the next one since I won't be there on Monday. And I can start giving them their harmonies right then. They had Peter Waite playing the recorder for the round. Same with the band. If there's anything tricky that needs extra work, it's all going to need work. I usually like to identify those spots at the beginning. You're always supposed to identify those spots at the beginning, since they need the most work. And if they learn the music quickly earlier, then when I come back in a month, we'll work to polish it up, as opposed to starting from scratch. Also, I don't know how much of that you can do without me. If you'll be plucking out the parts of the piano, just another idea. I know you need me more later than earlier, but if they're going to do the music right, you need me to be there from the start, giving them their parts. Again, I'm not even playing my piano part. And later, my piano part will be different if I'm playing solo piano or with the band. We start off with me giving them their harmonies, and us going through it really slowly. I should, well, I'll correct that next time. There was actually one musical rehearsal, but it was very late in the game. I think less than 2 weeks before opening night. I was wondering what the point was at that point, because our bodies do what they're in the habit of doing. If they've done it this way over and over and over and over and over again, that's the habit they're into. You can't change that habit just by running through it once. Okay, now go ahead, you guys, and fix the music. Why? Peter wrote me over that weekend. Yeah, that was that. Okay, so that was the email that was dated the 19th. So this would have been on the 17th that we had the musical rehearsal. On the 19th, he said, I don't know where Larry went this weekend. Okay, we had the musical rehearsal because Larry was out of town. And, you know, it's not gonna help. They've got no incentive. Larry says, I don't care how bad the music is. Why are they going to really work on it? On changing, on doing it differently than the way they've been doing it over and over and over and over and over again. When you do a show, when you play any piece of music over and over a certain way, and then you figure out how to do it right, and you take it real slow, and you get that part, you get it right once. It's not a habit until that habit has become stronger than the other habit. This is what I teach. This is how it's done. It doesn't work any other way. It'll never work. I've never seen it in all my years work. You've been practicing it that way all this time? Boy, too bad. Because here it is, right? Do it slow. You got to do it over and over and over and over. And it won't even happen that day, no matter how many times you do it. You got to sleep on it, do it several days. That's why you get it right from the start. Anyway, I received no response from Larry. Back to the email. Larry says, I think you bring great sensitivity and artistry to the show. Oh, thank you, Larry. How about that? A compliment. I didn't think, I don't see how I can bring great sensitivity and artistry to a train wreck, but thank you anyway. In case there was any confusion, this is not about my playing. Again, we're still talking about Larry inviting me to quit. That's still what this whole email is all about, and what all of these responses, most of these videos, these probably 2 hours worth of videos, is responding to that. It's not about my playing. Perhaps I should have discussed what it meant, but I think it's best we get it flat now. Do it this way or quit. And him saying, I expect you to come there to rehearsal prepared to play the music. I think you bring great sensitivity and artistry to the show. This isn't about my playing. I never got any complaints. It's about Robert learning the music. Never any complaints about mine. Not one. Not once. And now even a compliment. I'm being required to have Robert learn his music during my private practice. Can anyone make any sense of this? Let's forget about music for a second. I'm a teacher. These are students. This is a class of sorts. I believe, and I hope you agree with me, that the teacher is not responsible for the student learning the material. The student is responsible for learning the material. The teacher is responsible for presenting the material the best way possible so that these students can most easily learn it. What we have here is your school has hired a teacher to help your students learn some material. At every single one of these classes, I'm being told, we won't have time to learn anything. And whatever you do, don't say anything. But you're responsible for them learning it. I don't want to repeat that. If you didn't catch that, go back and rewind it. I mean, I think that's a basic, fundamental, educational, the guy's just on his own planet. It's just completely backwards. Larry, quote, the kids and I benefit from you. Why do you want me to quit? I hope one day to have the opportunity to demonstrate how much your kids could benefit from me if I'm actually allowed to do my job. If you can't do the job, please tell me immediately so I'm not more stuck than I'd be if you left at the last minute. And at last, finally, we're done with that email. We keep on having to go back to it, but now we've filled in everything between the first sentence and the last sentence, and we're done. We've already discussed about how me leaving at the last minute has never come up, how I've been completely reliable and dependable and professional, never late, and how Larry is the one who had so flagrantly breached contract in my one previous experience with him. Boy, I'm glad to be done talking about that email forever.